evaluate definite integrals using TI84 plus, this technique will definitely bring you extra insurance when you are taking exam. I divided my notes into two pieces, one on the half on the left, half on the right. Let's start with the first piece on the left, right over there. So in this technique, so first thing first, you will have to hit the math key. So on your graphing calculator, there is a math key. The math key is right under the alpha key. So when you hit the math key, that brings you to the first menu, and then all you have to go is you go to option number 9. So that is called Fn integral. So that means you are trying to evaluate an indefinite integral. So once you click that, that brings you to the home screen. So the home screen, do you see that there is an definite integral? The calculator is asking you to input a lower and upper limits, and then you will be input the integrand and then the variable. So let's say we have integral from -3 to 0.2, and then the integrand is e to the x minus e to the 3x plus 1 dx. So you trying to integrate that, and then that is approximately equals to 3.76 something something. See, you do not have to do a single step of work on your piece of paper. So you can just input the integral, input the upper limit and lower limit, and then you will get the result. And then one more example. So this one is integral from -1 to 2, and then the integrand is 2x to the third minus 4x squared plus 1. That is equals to -1.5. If you are wondering where the steps are, this won't show you any step. You will just get the final answer. So what I am asking you to do is, so let's say you're allowed to use calculators on exam. So before you start, so click, just input the lower and upper limit, input the integrand, and then check out the final answer, and then you show all your work, and then you integrate, right? And then you use the fundamental theorem of calculus, and then make sure you are able to get the same answer. So that brings you an extra insurance to exam, because you just finished like 8 lines of work. You want to make sure that your final answer is right. All right, so let's move on to the next piece. The next piece is right over here. So this piece is for taking exams and doing homework online, because when you are doing homework online, especially like my math lab web assign, sometimes they only take, not sometimes, most of the time they do not take approximation. So if they do not take approximation, then you have to know what the final answer is in fractions. So let's say I use the same integral. So this one is integral from -2 to 3, and then we have 2x to the third minus 4x squared plus 1. So you evaluate this definite integral, and then you get -9.16, right? So -9.6166, a bunch of 6 and then a 7, and then this is definitely approximation. So this is an approximation. And then what if the system does not accept approximation? So you have to report the exact answer. So that means you will have to report the fractions. So why do we have a fraction? Because when you integrate, most likely the coefficient of x will be a fraction, right? And then you plug in the upper limit and lower limit, you perform a subtraction, you have to deal with the common denominator stuff. So most likely the answer will be in fraction. But if you are using this technique, that will just give you an approximation first. If you want to put the answer in fraction, so you will have to hit the math key again. So this time we are not going to do the indefinite integral. I will just use the first option, the fraction. So do you see that right over here? FRAC. FRAC, and then there is an triangle, right? So that means you want to put the approximation in fractions. So just click that, and then they will show this line. So let the answer, this answer goes to a fraction, and then once you hit enter, the answer will be in fraction. So this is an exact answer. No approximation. Does that work every single time? The answer is no. So if you pick a real numbers for the upper and lower limits, like 3.45 and then -1.34, so at the end of the day you will get approximation, and then when you try to put the answer in fraction, it will just show you the same thing. So that means it is impossible to put this answer in fractions. Of course, that is not easy to figure. That is not hard to figure out, right? So you plug in a 3.45 to x, and then you have to multiply that to a fraction. So in this case, I don't think you will get a fraction. So that's why this time the calculator is not able to give you a fraction. So in this type of situation, most likely they will just ask you to maybe like put the answer in 2 decimal places, 3 decimal places, right? So this doesn't work every single time. Just keep in mind that, when you see this on exam, it doesn't work, don't freak out. When in this situation, that means it is impossible to put the final answer in fraction. So just don't freak out on exam. Okay. So now is the time to move your eyes to the right hand side of the note. So let me go back up all the way to the top. So this method allows you to see the area under the curve. So you still get the same thing, but if you want to see the area under the curve, then this method is better. And then the first thing that you will have to go is you click the y equal. So you have to click the right y equal. Where is the y equal key? The y equal key is above the second. Do you see that the second key, the upper left hand corner? You click the y equal, and then you input the function. The function that I use is e to the x minus e to the 3x plus 1, and then you input that, and then you click graphs. So this is the graph of the exponential function. And then in case you're wondering what window setting am I using, so if you click the window key, which is right next to the y equal key, this is my recommended window setting. So I use this setting to see these graphs. And then how do we perform a definite integral evaluation? So here is how. So you have to click the second key, and then you click the trace key. The trace key is on the left hand side of the graph key. So you hit second, and then you hit trace. Do you see that there is a second trace? So this is actually, I supposed to put a trace right over here. So this is supposed to be a second and then trace, not second cal. It is supposed to be a second trace. The reason I put cal is, do you see that there is a word cal above the trace? So when you click second and trace, you are going to the calc function. You are asking the calculator to show you the calc menu. Right? So calc menu, so that's why this menu called calculate. And then what are we trying to calculate? We are trying to calculate a definite integral. So you have to go to the last option, integral f of x dx. So that is called evaluating a definite integral. And then once you click that, and then that brings you to the next menu right over here. Now the calculator is asking you to input a lower limit. So for the lower limit that I use is -3. I know you see the word upper limit and a question mark. That means because I already hit the enter. So the first thing that they are asking is, what's the lower limit? So the lower limit that I use is x equals to -3. So this is my lower limit. Just put -3. Be very careful. The negative key and the minus key. The negative key is right next to the decimal point. Again, the negative key is right next to the decimal point. Do not use a minus. If you use a minus, it will return a syntax error. All right? Use the negative sign. The negative sign is right next to the decimal point. So -3 is your lower limit, and then your upper limit is x equals to 0.2. This procedure is pretty intuitive. When they are asking for the lower, just hit -3 and then hit enter, and they will ask you for the upper limit, and then you hit 0.2. Once you hit enter, they will shade the region under the curve, and then they will tell you what the area is. So in this case, the area is equals to 3.7642,839. All right, and then let's try something else. If you just go to second and then hit trace, and then you pick a different upper and lower limit, let me tell you this. This area is not go away. If you try a different lower and upper limits, this area is not going to go away. How do you make this area go away? So here is what I found. So to clean up the area, you go to y equal. So once you go to y equal, you will go back to the first screen, right? So what I did was I change the 1 to something else. So maybe you change the 1 to a 10, and then you change the 1 to a 2, and then change the 2 back to a 1. Change the 1 to something else, and then they will graph something else for you. But you don't need to hit the graph key. Just delete the 1, change that to something else, and then type the 1 again. So type the 1 again, and then when you hit the graph, or you just hit second trace and then hit the definite integral, the previous region will be gone. So now hit -2. So this is lower limit -2, and then upper limit I pick 3. So once you hit enter, and they will shade the region for you. So this is x equals to -2, and this is x equals to -3. They shade the entire region for you, and then this is the area under the curve. All right, so that takes a little bit of practice. Just don't worry about making a mistake. One big tips, okay? One big tips. I have to say this every time I teach graphing calculator, is the difference between the negative sign and the minus key. All right, the negative sign is right next to the decimal point. The minus key is between the multiplication key and the addition key. All right, so that is the end of this video. If you like it, you think this is helpful, give me a like, share, and subscribe, and I will catch you all in the next lesson. Signing out.